Next thing I'm doing is working on the power by the hour stuff. I figure I need to get all that stuff in anyway, figure out where I'm routing stuff. So I'm going to work on getting that in. And then I was thinking about getting the front sway bar mounted too on here. But yeah, that's kind of my next steps. Just starting to get this car pieced together. Kind of at a, well, not so much at a loss, but I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed with what I need to do. So kind of what I'm figuring is any movement forward on anything is better than sitting here and twiddling my thumbs wondering what I should do next and not getting started on it. I'll work on getting all this on here, the power by the hour brackets, and I just got the old laptop out here and I'm just running through their instructions that are online. But I'll just show as I go through this how things are coming together. I do have a Mustang alternator sitting there, so that'll go on in place. I do have an AC compressor somewhere over here. I do have a power steering pump, so I figure I need to get all that kind of stuff together anyway, and then figure out what I'm going to do for the Hydro Boost on here. So I do have lines from an old, like a New Edge car, so I'm hoping that's what I need. Otherwise, I'll be ordering some more stuff. But I'll keep you posted and updated as to what I'm doing. But yeah, I want to get all this dressing on the front of the engine, get coolant lines on, that sort of thing, just to get everything kind of complete up here and figure out where I'm going to run wiring for stuff. I'll have to get the alternator wired up. Probably have to get a signal or a wiring wired up for the AC compressor. Probably going a little bit overboard since this is kind of turning into a race car, but I do want it to be a street drivable car, comfortable, something I can get the wife in and at least have heat and AC for some summer cruises or fall cruises when it's cooling off. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm going next here, and I'll take you along for the ride as usual. All right, wrapping up for the night. Thought I'd show this. I got all my power by the hour brackets on here. I got the AC compressor on here, so I'm happy that all bolted up right. It's really tricky. There's one long bracket on the bottom that has 2 bolts through it, and then a short bracket because it basically moves that AC compressor. It's like it moves it forward and up 1/2 inch each way. So there's just one little short bracket. There's 3 bolts that hold it on. So the top one only has 1 bolt. So as you go to tighten that, you have to try to keep it square to the engine, but that's damn near impossible to figure out. And then the bolts that go in there are just barely long enough to, because the brackets are only about, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch thick, whatever they are. So the bolts only go in that far, and then there's 2 little dowels that align it on the top and bottom of the forward bolt. So it's just a little tricky. It took me a little bit to kind of figure it out, and then it's dark under there, so then you're trying to sit under there with a light, and that was the one struggle. The other struggle was getting, I thought that belt was way too long, but it loops back and forth, it seems like, as you can kind of see there. But that was a little bit of a pain in the butt to try to work this up high enough. And then I had another pulley here. Oh, this is the pulley that was on the original timing cover, I think, in that same spot. Well, it needed to be a smooth one. So I ended up pulling, I had another tensioner like this. This one doesn't spin as nice and freely, and that one spun a little nicer. So I pulled that one off of an old tensioner, so it kind of looks like crap when everything else is kind of nice and fresh and new looking. Well, other than the balancer on the front of the engine there. But ended up having to replace it with this one. But I think I got everything set up right. Yeah, I think the next biggest thing is I want to start running brake lines, then figuring out all my wiring. So I want to get a wire ran for the alternator and back to my power distribution block here. Then the other big stuff is figuring out this Hydro Boost. There's a port on the bottom, and then this port on the top. I thought this just went to a reservoir, maybe. I got to figure out how all that stuff ties together between the Hydro Boost and the power steering rack. So that'll be a little bit of a learning lesson for me to get that figured out. But you know what? Made it this far. I'm going to keep on plugging. So I think like once I have the brakes, once I have the Hydro Boost set up, like all the wiring, the alternator and everything like that, I should be able to get the diff up in place, the half shafts, the drive shaft. Got to get some brake pads too. But just some little things like that, or maybe not so little. And this car would actually be in a drivable state.